It's the most wonderful time of the year, right? The holidays are here. But, while it's a time for joy and togetherness, it can also be, well, a little lonely for some folks.
Yeah, absolutely. Loneliness during the holidays, that's something a lot of people struggle with.
Exactly. So today we're taking a deep dive into overcoming loneliness and finding connection. It's a really insightful piece, especially for this time of year, and offers a faith-based perspective on, dealing with those feelings.
Right, and what's really great about this source is that it doesn't just offer advice, it blends it with spiritual guidance. It's like a reminder that even when we feel alone, we're not, like, truly alone.
Yeah, I love that. And one thing that really stood out to me was how the source addresses this feeling that loneliness is like, I don't know, a personal failure, but it turns that whole idea on its head, saying it's actually a chance for growth.
It is. I mean, that's a big takeaway, isn't it?
Yeah.
We have inherent worth, as children of God. So even when we feel isolated, He's there with us.
Always there.
Always. There's that verse in Deuteronomy 31.6. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Like, just let that sink in for a moment.
Wow.
Knowing that, truly knowing that, it changes how we see loneliness, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It really underscores that, how connected we feel at any given moment doesn't define our worth.
Right.
But the source doesn't just stop at affirmations and good vibes. It gets practical, offering guidance on how to actually, like, build those connections. And this is where it brings in this interesting garden analogy.
Yeah, the garden analogy. It basically suggests that cultivating relationships, meaningful relationships, is a lot like tending a garden. It takes effort, intention. You got to nurture those relationships
You
consistently.
can't just, like, scatter some seeds and expect a beautiful garden to magically appear, right?
Exactly. It takes work, just like any relationship worth having.
Totally. Okay, so I'll admit, I'm not much of a gardener myself, but I get the idea. So what are some of those, like, gardening tips the source offers when it comes to relationships?
Well, one thing it really emphasizes is acts of service, especially during the holiday season. Think volunteering at a local soup kitchen, donating to a charity, things like that.
Oh, that's a good one.
These acts, they not only help others, which is obviously important, but they create opportunities for real interaction, genuine connection. It gives you a sense of purpose, too.
Yeah, I can see that. Helping others really shifts your focus outward. And honestly, I think that's often when we stumble upon those truly meaningful connections.
Absolutely. And building on that, the source also reminds us about the importance of connection within our faith communities, like attending church services, joining a Bible study group, even volunteering for a church event.
That makes a lot of sense.
It's about connecting with people who share those values, like-minded individuals.
Yeah. It's about finding that sense of belonging. And, thinking about our listeners, I'm also reminded about connecting with our own individual interests, especially during the holidays. Like,
Yeah.
what are some things you enjoy that maybe could be avenues for connection?
That's a great point. The source actually talks about that, about exploring hobbies, like joining a choir, taking a cooking class, starting a book club, anything like that.
It's about finding that common ground, right?
Exactly. When you share interests with other people, it just naturally fosters those feelings of connection, of belonging.
It all comes back to taking those steps, those little acts of courage to put yourself out there and build connections. And the source really hits on this idea that it's not about a quick fix. It's a journey, right?
100%. It's a process, turning that feeling of loneliness into growth. And the holidays, well, they offer a really unique opportunity for that kind of transformation. Instead of just focusing on the parties and presents, the external stuff, we can use this time for introspection, for prayer, for deepening our connection with God.
That's a really powerful way to look at it. As we wrap up here, I think it's safe to say overcoming loneliness and finding connection offers a really powerful message, a message of hope, of resilience. It reminds us that even when we feel isolated, even when it's tough, we are inherently worthy, capable of connection, and never truly alone.
Never alone. And as we celebrate this, Stefan, let's really take that to heart. Let's think about how we can turn loneliness into a period of spiritual growth and meaningful connection. Like, what's one small step, just one, that you can take today? Maybe it's nurturing your relationship with God. Maybe it's reaching out to someone in need. Whatever it is, this holiday season, let's choose connection.